Welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. My name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. With me again this week is Gautam.
What's up, people?
This week we are hopping on the popularity train and showing off our very own 3x3 manga choices. There's going to be some surprises in there, I think, and there's only one overlap between the two of us. So stick around for that discussion, manga news, and more. You want to flip a coin to see who gets to go first here, since there's only two of us?
Yeah, let's do the coin flip.
All right, I'll do coin flip.
Give me tails.
Got tails. It's flipping. It's heads.
All right,
So,
start her up, buddy.
I will go first. Here we go. On screen. This is my 3x3. I will read them out for listeners. We have Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Pokemon Adventure, Look Back, Monster, Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind, Ranger Reject, Dan to Dan, and One Piece. And my three sort of groupings I had here were rows going across. In the top row would be three manga that got me into reading manga originally. That is Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, and Pokemon Adventure. The middle row is just what I think are the best things I've ever read. Look Back, Monster, and Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. And the bottom are my sort of favorite ongoings right now. Top three there, Ranger Reject, Dan to Dan, and One Piece. So anything stand out to you? Anything you want to call out and start talking about here? I know the top row is a little...
Remind me what the middle row was again. The theme.
Just the best stuff. It's just the best. It had to go in there because it's the best for me. So...
I think one that instantly stood out is the Pokemon manga.
Yes.
I
is
feel like a lot of
actually,
people,
I think, the first manga I've ever read, which is why I felt like I had to put it in there. I originally
It's a
had
good
some other
one.
stuff. It is actually really legitimately good. At least, I mean, I read it, at this point, like 15 years ago, maybe even 16 years ago. This was one of those things I think that I saw when the internet was still evolving. I probably read this in 2008 or 2009. And someone just said like, oh yeah, there's a Pokemon manga and it's like way more adult and way cooler. And I was like, oh, I want to go read that. And I think I remember reading this on a site called Manga Fox. I don't know if you remember that site.
Yeah.
It's an old one. I don't think it's around anymore. I don't know if it's how long it has been gone, but yeah, in college I read like all of Red, Blue. I think they just called it Red, right? I think the original series was like Pokemon Adventure. I read all of the like Silver, Gold. I read all the way up, I think, to like, well, there was also like a green. There's part of it was green, and then there was which was the girl, or the yellow was the
green
girl?
Green was the girl, and she was the Nami of the team, where she stole Red's badges at one point.
Yes, I remember that. And I think I read all the way up to like the Gen 3 stuff, which the games of Gen 3 would have come out in like 2004. And I was reading this, like I said, 2008, 2009. But it's, I mean, I remember just tearing through it, right? Just like, you're in college, you have all the time in the world and tons of mental energy to focus on stuff. And so it was just like, I would just like get off class, go back, sit on my laptop, like click through Manga Fox through like all of this. I probably read it in like a week or week and a half or two. Hundreds and hundreds of chapters. But yeah, I mean, this is I think the first manga I ever read. So I definitely thought that it deserved to go up there.
I think Pokemon fans should actually give this one a read because it's pretty fucked up. Like
it's pretty intense at times, yeah.
It was like for a child, like watching the Pokemon show, they had Koga, right? Koga was the bad guy for one of the arcs, and he summoned his Arbok, and Red's Charmeleon cut the Arbok in half, and it's like guts went everywhere, and it's like blood was like alien blood, and like cut an acid hole through it was like gruesome.
It's really cool. It's very cool. It's very good, and it's interesting that it is more, I'm trying to think of how to describe this. It shares more sentiments with other shonen adventure action manga than it does with the Pokemon sort of like anime. The Pokemon anime is for like 8-year-olds, right? And shonen manga is for like 12-year-olds. And the Pokemon adventure manga is more for that sort of 12 to 14 shonen manga adventure age group than it is for the younger age group, which Pokemon historically, at least through especially the mainline games, but also the TV show, has been very much younger skewed, right? They want to get you into Pokemon when you're 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, Pokemon came out when I think it hit in the States when I was 6 or 7. And so yeah, it was like perfect.
It also felt like the one Pokemon property that wasn't existing for merch. It felt like an actual story with characters that are unlikable for a reason, and I don't know, just a more mature version of Pokemon.
And I'm super curious now, just like having this conversation. I know that there is a really well regarded Metroid manga. I know that there's a really well regarded Zelda. I believe it's I think it's the Twilight Princess manga. Is like people are like, oh yeah, it's like fantastic. So Nintendo has actually all of these sort of like manga things, which I would kind of consider just a kind of a crossover sales product, right? Like, oh, you're a fan of Pokemon in Japan, read the Pokemon manga and get the Pokemon art books. And, you know, it's another thing on top of it. But I do think that from what I've heard, most of those Nintendo manga crossovers are all pretty good. So curious to read those others.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm curious if they're still making those. But anyway, let's move on to a different segment of your chart here. I don't know what you said that this is kind of the meta, but I haven't seen it before, so I don't really know how to progress through these charts. You
pick something out. I mean, I was going to say, let me finish up the top row and talk about how these top 3 things got me into reading manga.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Because Pokemon Adventure was definitely the first thing I ever read. Years and years and years later, I read and caught up to Berserk, but that didn't really get me into reading other manga very much, I would say. It was still good, but it felt kind of like its own one-off thing, which I think it still kind of does. It's just so different. But in probably I think it was 2016 or maybe 2017, whenever I think it's just the first season of My Hero Academia had aired. And I was curious. I liked I think the first, 2 seasons, first couple of arcs of My Hero are really good, really great. I was an anime only back then, as almost I would say everybody who progresses into manga is. And I had watched, like, I think, I don't remember if it was 1 season of My Hero or like 1 season and a couple of episodes. I might have watched through the like Forest training arc or whatever, and then been like, well, I just want more. I just want to consume the rest of it. And so I was just like, okay, like if it's a manga, I just go read the manga. And I caught up to the manga then in maybe like 2017, 2018, and have been basically reading it week to week ever since now. It's dog shit now and it's bad, but it does deserve to be on here because it is definitely My Hero. And it's a very similar story for Attack on Titan, right? I watched, I think, all of the first 2 seasons. So this is probably 2016, 2017 again. Maybe even 2018. But anyways, I watched all of the first 2 seasons and was like, well, this is like, it went from, like the first couple of episodes are just okay to like amazing mystery, awesome foreshadowing. And so I was like, I have to catch up. Caught up to that, read that week to week until it ended. Very similar story there. It's funny. I'm noticing as I'm talking about this, it's a very similar story for me of also how I ended up getting into subbed anime over dubbed anime. Is you just watch dubbed anime and then if you watch something that's currently airing and you go, oh shit, they're like, weeks behind. If I want to watch current, I have to. And that's exactly what happened to me with K-On! Season 2. I watched that in college in 2008 or 9 when that was airing. I like watched all of K-On! And they only had like 3 or 4 episodes in English of season 2. And I was like, well, I have to go watch the Japanese version to go watch this.
That was Naruto for me. But yeah. I assume that's the case for like most people getting into like subbed anime.
Especially our age, yeah.
Like when you get hooked on a show and you're like, oh, well, I'm out of episodes unless I watch in this different language.
And like, is it worth the trade-off? And you watch like 1 episode and you're like, this is hard. And you're like 2 and you're like, okay, I'm in. Like, it's good.
Yeah, exactly. You adjust pretty fast.
But yeah, so that's sort of like how I got into manga reading. I've mentioned a couple times on the podcast, I'm not sort of a lifelong, I've been into manga forever. I'm very much a recent kind of recent involvement into manga, especially the last, 4 or 5 years. So yeah, those 3 were definitely the ones where it was like I watched the anime, or I was interested in the story in the case of like Pokemon and stuff, and I read them and they were awesome, and and I've read them week to week for a long time. So
let's talk about your middle row. I think
solid quality.
Monster and Nausicaa kind of speak for themselves, right?
Yeah, and I put Monster right in the middle because Monster is one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever consumed. I mentioned that, middle of last year when I finished reading it. I think it's the best thing Naoki Urasawa has written. It's the greatest ending, the greatest characters. It's awesome. It's amazing. It's perfect. It's everything. I love Monster. I love everything Naoki Urasawa has done. I thought about putting Pluto on here too because Pluto got me into Urasawa, but I thought, nah, you gotta. It's an obvious choice, but it's obvious for a reason because it's that good. So yeah, Monster deserves to be that center one for me.
I'd also agree with Nausicaa. We both read Nausicaa together, and it's kind of like a book club thing. And a truly phenomenal series. Glad to see that on there.
If you can go and check out those videos are on WGB Manga Podcast channel if you want to go check that out on YouTube. Yeah, really blown away. I thought that I knew what this was going to be going into it. I thought, okay, it's going to be, it's anime Fern Gully. I get it. And it is not that. It starts out like that, and it is not that. Really deep diving into those. And the fact that there's so much in them, they're so dense and long was amazing, fantastic. I can confidently say, although I haven't seen, everything what's his name has done. Who wrote this? What's his name? Miyazaki. Yeah. I have not seen every movie Miyazaki has made, but to me, this manga is better than any of the movies I've seen of his. And I really do like Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away. I think those are fantastic movies. This is miles and ahead better than those. So,
I will fight with my bare hands anyone who calls Nausicaa Mary Sue because she fits the archetype in terms of competence and how she handles things, but like I've never seen a story told about war as the running theme and how you have to get your hands dirty sometimes, and all that stuff just kind of, I don't know, delivered so well on the page.
She's such an interesting character. I mean, and we talked about this. I think you should really go check out those videos if you're curious, or if you've read Nausicaa and you wanted someone to sort of talk about it with. And we go into really deep dives. Those are really long videos for each of the 7 segments. She kind of starts as a Mary Sue and then is slowly kind of peeled back layers to show like she had trouble. And yeah, I mean, very minor spoilers, but that middle section where she has to legitimately go to war. And usually you would think like, oh, they're going to make the main character, Mary Sue girl, nature loving, go to war. She'll say no and she'll find her way around it. Instead, she's just like, okay. And like gets on her warbird and like goes to fucking war. And he's like, okay.
And she hates every moment of it, but she
doesn't like it. She hates it. And like by the end of it, she has like an entire, group of people on her side because she just like straddled in a horse bird and went to war. It's also just like, I had no idea the influence. I mean, I had heard, like, oh, yes, it's very influential, but like, this is where chocobos come from. This is where Evangelion comes from. There's like, and those are both like chocobos in Final Fantasy. Like that's something, it's been all my life. Evangelion, if we make one of these for anime, which I think we might do soon, Evangelion might be my like centerpiece. It's probably not center, but Evangelion's hyper important to me, and it's very cool to see, Anno coming from working on the Nausicaa movie. But yeah, the manga is just, I mean, again, it's just one of those like incredibly dense, different. I've never seen a sort of man versus nature story with the same message as this. It is not the standard be good to nature will help you. It's so much more nuanced. You can't pack it into this episode because we made 10 hours of episodes over 7 volumes on the channel, but definitely go check those out. Yeah, Nausicaa is awesome. So
yeah, it is a dense series though, so know what you're getting into before you read it.
Yeah. I saw someone, who is it? There's a booktuber, I can't remember her name now. She's really big. She did fantasy book stuff and she got into One Piece, and her One Piece videos are doing better, so she kind of split into 2. But she was going over like, oh, here are the things I'm planning on doing in Q1. And she like listed off all this stuff, and one of them was just like, read Nausicaa and go over it. And I was like, you think you're going to read Nausicaa in like a day or 2, and you're not. Like I mean, you could read it in a day or 2, but it's fucking dense and you're not going to get it all if you don't take your time with it. So
I agree. I had a much better time doing it the way we did, which is like splitting it off into the chapters and doing one a week, because it really helps you digest and understand the themes, the motivations, and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And then last one over here, I guess I'll talk about Tatsuki Fujimoto's Look Back. I think most people prefer, what's the other one shot he did?
It's a good one too.
Goodbye Eri, right? Most people like that one because it has a sort of more explosive wink wink ending. And it's a little bit has a little bit more broad appeal of sort of like, I get it, loss of people, learning about art, expanding your art. And it has that kind of fun, explosive ending, like I mentioned. I think Look Back is much more personal and much more high quality
100%.
and speaks more to a creative-minded person of why do they do this? How is it self-fulfilling? The rivalry, the expectations of others' art against your art. There's all this nuance of like, how do you create art? And that's in this. This is the superior one shot in my opinion. I think they're both really good. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Look Back is just like,
interesting.
Yeah, it's very good. And with Naoki Urasawa's Monster over there, the other sort of companion piece I would say to Look Back and a piece of manga media that's kind of about art, or about art creation and artists and what you do is Billy Bat. And Billy Bat is, I don't think it's the best of Urasawa, but I think it's my favorite for much the same reason that Look Back is, which is the sort of like, it speaks to an artist's mindset. It speaks to a creator's mindset of all these sort of like underlying anxieties about comparison. Am I good enough? Or I've done it. Do other people like it? Other people like it. What if I change it? Is the person more important than the art? Is the art more important? There's all these cool, interesting questions about art that really only an artist can ask themselves and kind of show us through their art. So, Look Back is just, it's fantastic. It's phenomenal.
It's very good. And for Goodbye Eri, I think there is also that audience expectation versus your own very personal message and how to make it digestible and relatable. And the fact is, in Goodbye Eri, it is about giving them context and then delivering your piece of work.
Yeah. It's also a little bit more like, it's more guided towards like, it's about movies, and there's more movie viewers than there are manga readers, especially in the West, right? Whereas Look Back is like, it's just about making manga. Like, it's not really about anything else. So
agreed.
Cool.
All right, let's hit the bottom row.
Yeah, so the bottom row is just, and I feel like I've said probably these three like over and over in the past couple of weeks, but these are my favorite. Yeah, for sure. I mean, these are my favorite three ongoing things. Like, these show up and I see a new chapter and I'm hyped. Ranger Reject, Dan to Dan, One Piece. I'll start with Ranger Reject, I guess. Although I think did we do that last week or 2 weeks ago? I don't know. It's been recent. I mean,
we did it last week. Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't heard us gush about Ranger Reject, go check out. I think we've talked about it 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years. It's awesome. It's amazing. At one point when I was making my 3x3, I actually had Quintessential Quintuplets, Negi Haruba's other series, on here because I was like, that's I think one of the best romances I've ever read, probably second only to maybe like Kaguya or something, with not a great ending, but the series in general is just written really well. But yeah, no, I mean, Ranger is just, it's cool. It's different than anything else that's being put out. It's this undercover spy story about a, foot soldier trying to get in with the Rangers and take them apart from the inside. It's just like, it's so well written. It has great momentum. This arc they've been going this past, 9 months or whatever we talked about, I guess last week, has just been unreal. So cool. It's an awesome series. Great art.
It's kind of interesting, Bruce, because like, let's put aside One Piece because I'm such a fanboy, but like Ranger Reject, it's not, the art is not as good as Dan to Dan. The plot is not as tight as Dan to Dan, but I am somehow more interested in the next chapter of Ranger Reject. And that's not a slight to Dan to Dan. Every chapter is great and interesting and fucking phenomenal. But like Ranger Reject, aside from One Piece, is the thing I'm like most interested in reading week to week.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just very unique and compelling. So I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And to sort of compare it to Dan to Dan, Dan to Dan is very sort of ebb and flow, where it does a lot of, I don't want to say smaller arcs because they're normal sized arcs, I guess, in sort of shonen battle action manga. But When it's setting stuff up, Dan to Dan is still good, but when Dan to Dan like really gets going, when it kind of those waves crest, it sort of peaks higher, I think, than Ranger Reject for my like I'm fucking excited to read this. But Ranger Reject is so consistent, and especially this last year has been so just like it's going, it's driving, it's building, it's building, it's building, it's building. Whereas Dan to Dan is very much like it builds really fast, it explodes, it comes back down, builds up, explodes, comes down. So it's kind of a make a graph, but you know, like here, my arm across, that is Ranger Reject, and Dan to Dan is, you know, peaking up and down with kind of shorter arcs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, they're both excellent. Dan to Dan, I think, easily has the best art. Is it just the best art, the second best art, maybe after Murata of One Punch Man? But like, sometimes it's just better. Like sometimes it's just better. Like there's a couple of weeks where I'm like, Murata doesn't do this. Murata will leave out backgrounds or, you know, make stuff easy, and yeah, it's
fucking phenomenal, especially since
so
it's week to week. It's like, holy shit, how do you do this?
Yeah, it's like Murata takes 3 weeks to make his chapter, and yes, it is probably the best looking thing out. But then, what's this guy's name? I forgot his name, but
Yukinobu.
Yukinobu, yeah, I was going to say it's on there. I can look at it. Yeah, Tatsu Yukinobu. Just every week, he doesn't miss a week. He doesn't burn out. There's no like, oh, whoops, we're going to skip a week. Something messed up. It's every week, and it's so good. I think he's one of the smartest digital artists in the modern manga industry. I think a lot of, and we've talked about this before on previous episodes. A lot of these sort of like tricks that he uses of like copying assets and using real life backgrounds and just, you know, focusing on characters really speeds up his process. You look at some of these chapters and you'll be like, wow, this art is insane. And you'll be like, okay, well that's a converted background, but it still looks really good. Those are copied assets. You know, this is a copy paste. He's using maybe some other stuff, but he's just like, and people flip out because it's so good, because it's like, it's composited well, it's composed well. Easily, I think, if not the best artist, I think maybe the smartest, most sort of uses all of the tools at his disposal artist in manga right now. Like really, and
I think you could like construe that as best. If it, like, all of these people are working under different conditions and different situations, and Yukinobu is like doing it week to week, right? And Murata, like you said, it sets its own 2 or 3 schedule. Weeks, so
which
I could definitely see a perspective where Dan to Dan has the best art. If you take into account like all the external factors, it's just phenomenal.
Best is such a loaded word, but I mean, the art in Dan to Dan is amazing, and that's not it. The storytelling is.
It does everything well. It's insane.
And as much as I love Ranger Reject, and I think that it's amazing, Dan to Dan like leaves me with a smile on my face like almost every chapter. And like Ranger Reject is a bit more maybe compelling and dramatic, but Dan to Dan is just like you read it and you're like, I'm smiling by the end of it because it's like something cool or something exciting or something good or something funny happened. It's got a great romance. It's really funny characters. You know, the old lady cat, what's her name? Turbo Granny is like,
she's hilarious.
Yeah. One of most Turbo Granny is probably the best. What do you even call that? Like mascot character, I guess. Like, since
I guess like mascot character, antagonist becomes good guy kind of trope all mixed in one. You know?
I mean, it's definitely like the sort of sidekick mascot who's really just there to like, they can sell a plushie of it. But like, are there any other like side mascot characters as good as Turbo Granny? Like all time? Like Pikachu is the only one I can think of, and that's kind of like a little bit different thing. But it's like, Pikachu is it funnier and sassier early on in the...
I got one.
Yeah.
It took some racking. Daxter from Jak and Daxter.
Okay, yeah, different medium, but I mean, yeah, like Clank from Ratchet and Clank is a great. Yeah. I guess that's a mascot character.
Clank is fine. Sorry,
I'm thinking
Clank.
More of it's like, I don't know. I feel like Jak, Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, those are like main characters, and the mascot character is like a side or lesser, like minor. Like Turbo Granny is not a main character, or even.
I would say Tony Chopper if I was a liar.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, definitely. I think Chopper is probably maybe the second. In that list high up also.
Not so much nowadays, but like back then, probably.
Yeah, definitely sort of just a mascot character. And then the other thing, of course, that I'm always hyped to read is One Piece. This is another one of those things I could have put in the top or the middle. This really could be in any of these lines. But yeah, I mean, One Piece is just, I don't know. You got to read it every week. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you say about a manga that does it all, right?
Yeah, and so I caught up to this. Did I catch up to this like right? I'm trying to remember. I think I caught up to this in 2020. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Or 2019. It might have been 2019. No, I think it was 2020. 'Cause I think it was at. I'm trying to remember. I think it was at home for most of it. Because I remember I started reading it. And we made a bet. I think 2019. Yeah. Well, 2019 we made a promise to each other. I said I'll read the first 100 chapters of One Piece. You said you would read Attack on Titan. Or catch up on Attack on Titan.
No, I said I'd watch Boys on the Slope.
Oh yeah, Boys. Yeah, fucking Sakamichi no Napoleon, which is
still haven't done that.
Yeah, that's such a good show though. I mean, it's very chill, but
I should watch that. Yeah,
it is like a really solid show. One of Mappa's early endeavors too. So, yeah. So, anyways, I like read 100 chapters. And I remember because I texted you even like the first chapter is like Luffy stabbed himself on the face of page 1. I was like, okay, I like this guy. This is actually yeah, and it's I don't think it took me 100 full chapters to really be like I'm just gonna keep reading this, but definitely by the time you get to 100 chapters, you're in like the middle of Arlong Park, and I was like, well, I'm gonna finish Arlong Park, and then I'm gonna keep going, and it's gonna be great. So
see, it was a fucked up bet because I knew this would happen. Anyone who reads that much
it's a
One
great
Piece
that's
is
exactly
already
the bet
hooked.
I'm gonna make with other people. To be like, look, I know it seems like a lot. Like they're short chapters. Read 100 chapters of One Piece, and then you can drop it. But yeah,
it's like a recommending heroin to your friend.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, dude, just do a little key bump, and you'll be fine. Yeah, it's for sure. But I mean, it's weird and interesting because I remember I caught up right basically towards the beginning of Wano. I caught up during the Odin flashback, I guess. Maybe like right at the end of the Odin flashback was where I caught up. And that was a good time to do it because I got to experience Wano and all the battles week to week. You know, I got everyone knows about Gear 5. Like the Gear 5 reveal and manga was awesome. That was, and it's such a good, it is one of the best things for me since probably like Game of Thrones and maybe the first season 1 of Westworld of like community, like water. It's like a water cooler manga, right? Like a chapter comes out. Everybody's on Twitter talking about it. Everybody's on Reddit talking about it. Well, how does this change the theories we had last week? What is this? What do you think's going to happen next? Oh, I think this is this person going to join the crew? What's going to happen? And it's like every week. Yeah. Oda is another one of those authors, kind of like Miyazaki, even in Nausicaa, where it's like, yeah, we only get, 17 to 20 pages. And
it didn't used to be this way, by the way, Bruce. Like when I was reading One Piece, it had to be something I had to sell to people because of how bad the 4Kids dub was. No one liked One Piece.
We've talked about how bad the 4Kids dub is in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely One Piece has surged in popularity. Even just the past like 2 or 3 years. I mean, like putting it on Netflix, a bunch of people checked it out. The live action, the movie Red that we saw 2 years ago, I guess now, a year and a half ago. Yeah, about a year and a half ago.
Right, yeah.
That was like that's like our second episode of the podcast. I think we talked about movie.
Was that
Red.
the Uta movie?
Yeah, the Uta movie with the music.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, again, I think like this is, if you are someone who reads manga and you're like, I'm not gonna touch One Piece, 1,100 chapters, no, fuck that. If you were into like Game of Thrones, water cooler talk, The Office, Friends, whatever, they're like, oh, what happened this week on this thing? One Piece is like the perfect series for that. Its world building is like so deep and so excellent. The story is great. It's great. Everybody has their favorite characters. I don't know, and like for our awards, which you can go check out our 2023 awards. We do an award that's called like Best Arc, and I think our two main competitors for 2024's Best Arc are going to be Ranger Reject and One Piece. The current arcs that are kind of just now tying up or are about to be resolved. So
it just goes to show like 1,200 plus chapters, and you're still pushing out such quality work that we're debating whether like a newer series like Ranger Reject or One Piece, who's been around for like 20 plus years, is the winner, right? It's like that Oda hasn't lost a step. If anything, he's just gotten
it's
better.
easily better, right? Like like I think Oda has pretty consistently gotten better at writing, even if, lots of people's favorite arcs are the some of the earlier ones. A lot of that is just more about like, oh, well, I got, sort of a bigger high, or I was invested in X and Y thing. I mean, I think easily if you just look at like the whole Egghead arc is like, I think for me right now, when Egghead finishes, that's probably my favorite post time skip arc. Like, it's so good. Like, which is insane.
I think Whole Cake stands up with all of the pre-time skip arcs as well.
Yeah,
like,
I love
it is so
the Whole
phenomenal.
Cake stuff is so good and so different. And yeah, it's great. Anyways, we could talk about what we have to, we have
We're
to
getting
consciously
sidetracked.
limit ourselves not to turn this into a One Piece podcast, because we could do that. There's like 17 other One Piece podcasts you can absolutely go check out. That's not us. We're all manga here. So yeah, that's my manga 3x3 again. I'll go through it real quick. Top row stuff that really got me into reading manga. That's Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Pokemon Adventure. Middle row is my just solid quality. These are the best things I've ever read. Look Back, Monster, and Nazca, The Valley of the Wind. And the bottom three are my currently being published, ongoing favorite things to read week to week. Ranger Reject, Dan to Dan, and One Piece.
Hell yeah.
All right,
Good
Gautam.
list.
Are you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right. Walk me through. You have a double organization where rows and columns mean something, right?
Yeah,
I
so
can
I've
guess,
never,
I can guess
I've
your
never
left
seen.
column, but
Yeah, I've never seen or done one of these before, so I kind of did this assignment a little wrong. So my rows, these are all manga I like, very much like or love. So at least I have that going for me. But the rows all have a theme, and the columns all have a theme. And I'll state them out starting at row 1. Silver Spoon, Freyrin at the Funeral, Yotsuba. Row 2, Shokugeki no Soma, Haikyuu, Hajime no Ippo. Row 3, Dungeon Meshi, or Delicious in Dungeon, Hunter x Hunter, and One Piece.
it's Hunter. Yeah, no X. Hunter.
I didn't hear you. What?
It's Hunter. There's no X. You don't say the X in Hunter. For someone who worships Togashi so much, Togashi has outright said that. Okay, anyways. Okay, wait. I'm going to see if I can guess your organizations, because I think I know
Yeah. Let's play this game. Guess what the themes are, because the rows and columns both have a theme.
Okay, so row 1 across, so Silver Spoon, Freyrin, and Yotsubato, that's like your comfy row. That's like slice of life.
Exactly, yeah.
Comfy. Column 1, which is Silver Spoon, Shokugeki no Soma, and Delicious in Dungeon, is like food/cooking organized, right?
You got it.
I mean, the middle row is basically sports shonen, like Shokugeki no Soma, Haiku, and Hajime no Ippo. Shokugeki is essentially organized like a sports competition manga, even though it's not.
It's sports manga.
I mean, it's like very much like I challenge you to a duel. It's like fucking Yu-Gi-Oh with food.
I should have put Yu-Gi-Oh in there.
Yu-Gi-Oh is also a good one. Yeah, I've never read the manga, but I've heard it's good. The bottom one are just your favorites. It would be my guess. Like bottom row. So yeah, very bottom row. Hunter, One Piece, and Delicious in Dungeon.
It's true that they are my favorites, but it's adventure.
Like world building? Or yeah, okay. Adventure. Okay, the second column, which is Freyrin, Haikyuu, Hunter. I don't know how those go together.
Okay, these are less genre based than the other ones.
I'm trying to think of like what connects these, and I'm like, I mean, like one of them is like.
Here's a hint: the main characters.
Okay, is it just good main characters in the middle row? I don't know.
Nah, short stacks. Short stack main characters.
Oh, okay. All right. I never would have gotten that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Hinata from Haikyuu, Freyrin, and Gon are all small little people.
Are small kings and queens.
Yeah. Okay. So so now I gotta think.
The third one.
Yotsubato,
the third one, I don't think you'll guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yotsubato, Hajime no Ippo, and
One Piece.
One Piece. Sorry, I can hear my washer downstairs going crazy.
It's a ghost.
It's like I think I loaded up wrong and it's making noise. Man, how do you do these? This is also just like, these are just like your favorites. Influential, classic, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, these are also main character based.
Is this lovable idiot main characters?
No, Ippo's not an idiot. But Yotsuba and Luffy certainly are. It's characters that refuse to stay down.
Okay.
whether it be in a fight or otherwise, I think Yotsuba actually encapsulates the trait just as much as Luffy does. For any Yotsuba fans out there,
Mm-hmm.
Yotsubato fans out there, I actually very much value this part of the protagonist in all of these series because it reflects a characteristic I have and want to have when I don't have in real life is just kind of tenacity and always moving forward. Maybe I should put Aaron Yeager in one of these. Um, but yeah,
Yep. Cool.
yeah, those are my themes. So let's go into them.
Yeah, let's just start with your top. Start with top left and just kind of go across and link them.
Yeah,
together.
the themes are more for fun anyway.
Yeah.
I just like these things. Silver Spoon. Dude, if any fucking thing would make me want to be a farmer,
Yeah.
it was Silver Spoon.
Oh, maybe I do want to provide food for my country. Like,
it's not even that, right? It made this like low key lifestyle of working hard and reaping the rewards of your own hard work seems so gratifying.
and like living simply and stuff. Yeah, it's rad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you put this on here because I could not find a way to fit an Arakawa series onto my 3x3. I have not fully read Full Metal Alchemist, so I didn't feel comfortable putting that on there, though I do think Full
fair
Metal
enough.
Alchemist is amazing. And Yomi no Sagai, while it is something that I am hyped to read, the fact that it's monthly is like, it's very hard to keep like your excitement very high for 30 days or more. Arakawa is awesome. Silver Spoon is awesome. It's great.
Absolutely great series. And yeah, like Bruce said, Arakawa just pumps out masterpieces. She's a goddamn genius. And her farming manga, Silver Spoon, if you think it doesn't appeal to you, I think you're probably wrong. You should give it a crack.
Yeah,
it is so goddamn good.
I've seen a lot of people, especially with the anime, be like, "Oh, I didn't think I'd be into this, but everybody suggested it, and I tried it, and it's like I'm crying when they make pizza in like episode 6 or whatever." It's like, yes,
I find that I feel like I don't know. I feel like at peace when I watch or read Silver Spoon, and I don't think a lot of things capture that feeling for me. It's like I just feel good, and I think that's the appeal of comfy series. But a lot of comfy series don't really work on me. But Silver Spoon certainly does, and that's why it's up there.
yeah,
My second one is Freyrin at the Funeral.
yep. I mean, I think
One could
this
argue
is-
less comfy.
a little less comfy, but still, I think very sort of melancholy, comfortable. This is also like hyper in the zeitgeist. Like if you're watching us talk about Friar right now, you've probably seen or heard the anime. Maybe you've checked it out. Hopefully you have. It's been very popular. It's very big. So this people get this, and I definitely get this. It's one of the most sort of different tonally animes. I love how chill, and I think it fits very comfortably in it's a very sort of comfy, it's like low key, but still emotional and like gripping, and I don't know. It's a lot of stuff.
And no one I think it does something wholly unique with the story revolves around the premise that elves live really long lives.
Mhm.
And I haven't seen anime or manga, and I'm not a huge fantasy buff, so this is probably done in books, but I haven't seen anime or manga really explore this. If there's an elf character, she usually has big titties, and it's like, I look 20 and I'm 130 years old, and I am very horny.
I mean,
That's usually the elf character, right?
Yeah, I mean, even all the way back in Lord of the Rings, to be honest, this is hit on a little bit of like, even like Arwen Aragorn kind of, where it's like, I'm pretty sure there's parts where they tell her it's like, he's a man, like you're gonna outlive him, like you're an immortal elf, you're gonna outlive him. So it's like this is a very old sort of thought, I guess, that you could put in a book, but it's
I
like
appreciate
the main,
it being the onus of the plot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like the main thing. Like Friaren lives for a long time. Can she connect with people? How will she connect with people? That's like the main gist of the whole story. It's very good.
And I think it's like even more effective because elves are kind of seen as this apathetic race of people who live too long, so can't connect with anything. And at the beginning, Farron really embodies that trait. But it's really just sweet to see her learn and grow and kind of form new connections and understand that even though other people's lifespans are short, it doesn't mean that you can't have kind of connective tissue with them. You know,
Yeah.
just
Doesn't mean you just
learn
don't
and
connect
understand.
with people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sweet. But I don't need to explain that to you. You're probably already watching it.
Yeah, like I said, I think this was Yotsubato is the one that you have preached at me from this high ceiling that I have not. I've read a couple of chapters, but I've never been deep into it. This is like the most memeable series.
It's my second favorite series on this list after One Piece. Which is saying a lot because I love Delicious in Dungeon and Silver Spoon. And I love all these, you know, but Yotsuba is, I think she is, I know she's like 5 or whatever, but I wish that I had that level of kind of tenacity or go forwardness that she has. There's a panel that I remember from Yotsuba where Yotsuba is like out playing in the rain, and someone's like, you should bring her in. She's gonna get sick being all rowdy like that. And her dad was like, nah, she'll be fine. Yotsuba is invincible. And I don't know, that stuck in my mind. I wish I would like to be invincible one day. Not in like,
I remember being a child and thinking I was invincible. That's certainly a thing.
But more so it's like the disposition to never stay down, right? To keep on keeping on and managing to have fun along the way. I think that is an aspect of her character that I would like to kind of will into existence for my own character.
Yeah. Well, and I think you've literally hit on why people like comfy. Why, I mean, even just personally, why I like slice of life or even just like cute girls doing cute things shows and manga is like reality like sucks sometimes.
It's hard.
Not all the time, but like a lot of times it's like reality. So like I lost my job last month. Do not have one again. Like, but if you read something like Yotsubato or Cute Girls from Cute Things, it's just like they come up against like very minor adversity and it does not stop them. And I think that helps you reading someone, you know, jumping through mud and being okay with it is like, well, you know, there's some mud in my life. And if I can smile through it with these cute girls getting through it, that helps me out. So
for sure. It's
I think that is
perspective,
definitely
right?
a huge appeal of it.
I agree. And yeah, for Yotsuba, it's being rowdy and doing kid things, but it's all a matter of perspective, is how I feel. And I feel like the same disposition can be applied to stressors in our adult lives. In any case, I very much appreciate Yotsuba and Yotsubato. I love that series to death.
Yeah. Let's talk about your middle row, because this is actually the most surprising row to me. I think I could have guessed all of your top and bottom row if you had asked me what you were going to put on here. I definitely know I could have guessed like Hunter x Hunter, One Piece, Silver Spoon, Yotsubato. I could have told you those were like 4 of your favorites that you would have been on there. Shokugeki no Soma, Haikyuu, and Hajime no Ippo. I would not in a million years have guessed this would be on your 3x3.
Okay, so let me clarify. I was still doing the theming game.
You're doing
so these aren't.
Yeah.
So Shokugeki is not in my list of favorites, but I think it's amazing, and
it
here's
is
why.
Really good until it's not.
Until it's not. Until it's absolutely not. It makes it's a sports manga about cooking, and I think that's just a very fun plot to get to go into. You know, it's like it is MasterChef. It is whatever cooking show you watch.
It's literally MasterChef X Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's like you literally you challenge someone to a cooking duel. There's a secret ingredient like there is in all these cooking shows. It also, I will say, Shun Saeki, who's the artist on Shokugeki no Soma, is I think one of, if not the best artist Jump has ever had, especially in the modern day, right? Like he's
agreed.
Like, yes.
Have you read Shokugeki no Sanji? He's still got it.
Yeah, I forgot he did that a couple of years ago. Yeah, I definitely read that. Yeah, and he also did Tenmaku Cinema last year, I guess that was. Again, the art is just fantastic. I do think that whoever made the choice of we're just going to have people's clothes explode off and we're going to have like the best artist in Jump do
hilarious.
Hilarious, and also like the greatest marketing ever. Like, hey, you're a really good artist. What if you drew more naked girls? And it was like, okay, and that I absolutely contribute to the popularity of this.
Have you heard of transferable skills? Like when you when you're leaving one job and going to the next job, it doesn't have to be the exact same job.
Right.
As long as you have transferable skills from your old job. This dude used to draw porn before this.
Yeah, I was absolutely a hentai author. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shoo-in, right? To have girls explode, like clothes exploding, and guys, and having just the classic food wars of it all.
Yeah.
Of course, it got up its own ass a bit when it tried to take itself too seriously.
It lost it. I think the Jump wanted it to continue, and it lost its food consultant, I think was the big thing. And so it just kind of lost like the heart
lost
of
its plot consultant, feels like.
Yeah, I think more the bigger thing was that they just kind of lost where I don't know. Its second third especially is not very good. It's like it's pretty bad.
It really got too serious for its own good. It should. I knew what it was at the beginning and in the middle, and then I don't know what happened. I think there'd have to be a documentary made on it to figure that out.
Who knows? It's hard. I can't explain what publishing or author or editorial or whatever stuff went on, but I still think that this is probably like in Jump proper. This is like the best art we've had in the last, 10 years, especially, like maybe even 20. I think Shinseiki is just really, really good. So, but also another really good artist is the author of Haiku, whose name I can't remember. She is Furudate. That's who that is. So she's one of the best action artists, I think.
It is so good. I don't really talk about sports manga a lot, but I think I've read a ton of them. And I'll say that Haikyuu is my favorite in terms of how hype it gets. Like,
yes.
I'm there with the characters during the exciting moments, and this is a manga list. I would say watch the anime for this one.
This is an anime for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the manga is, I think Furudate is one of the best action panelists around. Like, I would put her top 5 easily, maybe even top 3, along with like Murata and Yukinobu. But this is but the other thing is the anime does not lose any of that. It's like sort of dynamic paneling and stuff. Yeah, the anime is by.
And it's hype when all the boys like they score a point, they all yell. It's like you feel like you're one of the gang. You feel the excitement.
Yeah, the real magic of Haikyuu is not actually just that like the volleyball looks great. The real hype is that it's such a character focused story that the really hype moments are like a single play. Like, I think a lot of people talk about this one, right? But who is the blonde glasses kid? Who's like
I love that.
Yeah, everyone loves that. He's very aloof. He doesn't he plays and he's good and he's tall. And he doesn't really want to get into it. And he has this whole arc where he like makes one block and then gives like a yasha, right? Like the Japanese, like let's go.
Yeah, that was the
like hype for playing. And like the thing is like the play is just like a single block, and then he gets hype, but like you see the progress of like how he got there, and it's like. Again, this is something that I have preached in past episodes, is that make your action climax line up with your emotional character climax. And if you can do them both like at the exact same time, it's going to land twice as hard. If you can't do them at the same time, do them very close. And Haikyuu is like literally nails it, right? With like the guy makes the key save, to like get a point against their big striker, and he falls and he's into the game, and that changes his personality, and he's developed to get there. And it's like, boom, action climax, like a page or a panel later, emotional climax. It's like, it's so good. And it's just that for like every character on the team, like over and over and over again. And Haikyuu like does not quit. It's so good.
And the enemy team. Like I actually exactly. Like they're it's just so good, right? Like the villains, quote unquote, aren't like, they feel like very real characters. And when they lose, I'm like, I don't even, I wasn't even rooting against them. More so I was like rooting for our protagonists, Yeah. It's awesome.
And this is something I think I read like a whole, I don't know if it was a Reddit post or a Twitter thread. There's a whole discussion I read about what Jump is missing, and they called out specifically Haikyuu and a couple other things about Jump used to be able to play into the Fujoshi crowd, right? The sort of like makeup boys relationship, fan shipping, whatever you want to call it. And Haikyuu is like perfect for that. And so tons of girls got into it. Like this is This is written by a female author. I think a lot of has a large female audience for Jump. And Jump doesn't really have anything like this in the series right now. I think that they have maybe tried to find it, but it's a really interesting thing that I just like wanted to call out a little discussion I saw on it because I think that it's really good at that too. It has a lot of interesting characters, and you know so much about these characters that it's very easy to ship and write fan art or fan stories or whatever about them, which is a great angle. A lot of the most popular media properties are set up like that. Like think about Avatar, Harry Potter, good characterization. We understand who they are. We can write our own stories about them, and Haiku definitely falls into that.
You know what series has like a huge female, like a bigger female audience than a male audience that I was surprised by is Gintama.
Oh yeah, almost everyone publicly who I like streamers or whatever that like Gintama, it's like always a girl.
It's hilarious when you know what Gintoki is like. Like he picks his nose all the time and like wipes it on stuff. Like he's like a slob as a human being. So it's funny that it has such a huge female audience. But anyway, let's move on to Hajime no Ippo.
Hajime.
This was the GOAT back in the day. This was the boxing manga, and it's hard to justify recommending it today because it's so goddamn long and it doesn't really have a conventional storyline. It is just about Ippo's boxing career.
Yep.
But for what it was fucking great. And I think at the beginning, especially when it does have more of a linear storyline, it really delivers on the big moments of Ippo growing as a boxer. I don't think this manga could be published today because people would get bored. But it is, you see from like step one to where he is now, his progression as a boxer, and it's immensely cathartic and satisfying reading the fights for that reason, because you don't get a moment skipped over. You were there for the entire journey. So it is that much more satisfying when he wins a fight because you know everything.
You've got there. You followed him every step of the way. Yeah. I also think you could almost take your middle row and be like, these are great. They have really good action art. Because definitely Haiku and Hajime no Ippo both have really good action paneling, I would say.
Good.
And I even think Shokugeki no Soma does too, even though it's a little bit different, not quite the same. But yeah, Ippo it's a classic. I've looked at a lot of panels and paneling from Ippo, but I haven't actually read it. But
it's great.
Yeah, I mean it's been around forever, and it's widely and highly regarded, and I don't think anything gets there without actually being good. So
I boxed for a year because of Hajime no Ippo, so it did good things for my life. Even
there you go. Yeah, exactly.
I got punched in the face a bit.
Yeah, and Japan is very because they're so kind of monocultural and a small quote unquote country. When stuff like the World Cup got there, and then what is it called? Is it Blue Lock? Not Blue Box.
Blue Lock.
Blue Lock. It's like I guarantee you this like next upcoming semester or two, or whenever that really hit big, there's going to be more kids playing soccer. And I think Hajime no Ippo did that for boxing. Ace no Diamond did that for baseball. Baseball is huge in Japan now. I think it's always been pretty big, but there's a surgence with these things. It's very interesting. So Hajime no Ippo is massively influential.
And then finally, let's go down to the bottom row, which is honestly all of my favorite stuff. We have Dungeon Meshi, Hunter x Hunter, and One Piece. We'll skip the One Piece talk. I think we have said our piece on One Piece.
We talked about it. It's great. We get it.
It's just the GOAT.
It's the one overlap on both of our 3x3s, which I think is appropriate for who we are and what we've talked about. Interestingly enough, no other overlaps.
That is
talking
pretty wild.
about 17 series here, which is good, I think. But yeah, tell me Dungeon Meshi.
I think as far as any kind of D&D story goes, I've read Western ones. I've read fantasy manga. I've read fantasy novels, albeit not that many fantasy novels. I don't think it gets better than this. I truly don't. It captures a perfect D&D storyline where there are stakes that you care about and characters that you love, but also it brings the inherent goofy nature of D&D in every single chapter. And not only that, it ties its goofy, silly, dumb food not motive, it's a theme. Yeah, it ties that goofy ass theme to the crux of the main narrative at all points. It all circles back around to it, and it makes sense. It just works. So yeah, Dungeon Meshi is just it.
Yeah.
It's the goat of this genre in my opinion.
It's interesting because I am looking at your row that you made about eating, the Silver Spoon Shokugeki no Soma Dungeon Meshi row, and it's interesting because it's actually three different like angles to cooking, or kind of cooking or food, I guess in general, like food angles. Because Silver Spoon is all about like how is food grown, how is food harvested, how do we farm pigs and cows and make cheese and all that kind of stuff. And then Shokugeki no Soma is all about cooking. It's just about how do you prepare stuff, how do you get the best ingredients, what do you do with those ingredients. And then Dungeon Meshi, which I've said at least on Twitter like a couple of times, and I think on the show, Dungeon Meshi, you kind of think it's about cooking, but Dungeon Meshi, by the time you get to the end of it especially, Dungeon Meshi is about consuming and like your relationship with the things that you consume and what they mean to you in sustaining you, and sort of not like morality behind killing and consuming something, but there's like a little bit of that kind of in there too. So it's interesting that you've got sort of like food production, food preparation, food consumption in these kind of 1, 2, 3 steps. That's a really interesting tie together. I like there.
Yeah, happy little accident, honestly. And just it just kind of worked because the Dungeon Meshi and Silver Spoon especially are just we're probably going to be in here anyway. Yeah,
for sure. All right,
but
tell
Hunter
me your
Hunter.
very last thing while I groan in the back.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter is weird because it is some of. Let's not even talk about the release schedule because that's a whole nother discussion. What it is a generic shonen for like the first 20 chapters until after the Hunter exams, and then it's not. By all means, it is superior to its genre in like every single way. And I'm not even talking about how Nen is a cool system, power
superior
system.
in every way except publication frequency.
Except publication frequency, exactly. People talk about how Nen is one of like the best, built out, coolest fucking power systems. I really don't give a shit. That does not matter to me at all. Nen is just magic like everything else in my eyes. Sure, it is more convoluted, but it's just magic. What really speaks to me is how fucking odd some of the plot points are. Like, York New City, we follow our protagonists and the villains, the spiders. Our protagonists aren't nearly as strong as even a single spider. Like, and one protagonist gets as strong, but like sacrifices everything to get there, and that, like, Hunter x Hunter power-ups are never convenient. They're never easy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always niche and situational. So I'm not spoiling this for you, really. It's a small spoiler, but Kurapika can only go full power against spiders, but he can't for anyone else. And he's generally not super strong versus any other person aside from these 8 people in the world. And it's just like all power in Hunter x Hunter is built on sacrifice of something else.
That's it's a very good, the angle this reminds me of is in video games, there's sort of a video game design thing called Kiss Curse, right? Which is where like this thing becomes more powerful, but this other thing becomes less powerful. And those design choices are always more interesting than just this is more powerful. This is X is more powerful. Y is more powerful. And I think it works in storytelling more than people realize. One of my favorite Magic systems that goes in the same thing, like you're talking about with all the stuff with Kurapika and Hunter x Hunter, is in Darker Than Black, the anime, which I think you've seen that, right? Where it's like, okay, this guy has lightning powers, but he has to smoke a cigarette after he does lightning powers. Or like this girl has ice powers and she has to like drink the blood of children to use her ice powers.
The child blood was the vacuum girl. Yeah, that's right.
Or like one guy has to like drink a beer every time he uses his powers. Like, and those aren't even like, I don't want to say they're not interesting. They're like not like novel. They're just very simple. But it's like, but you have to give something to get your power. And yes, I mean, sacrifice is a great story thing. And I'll read this someday. Maybe, I promise.
It's great. It's great. And I will say the Chimera Ant arc is
widely regarded as one of the best shonen arcs of like all time.
I'd say the first half of it is like a 6 out of 10, and the second half of it is like a 12 out of 10.
So it's an 8 if you average them out.
I can't justifiably average them out because of how strong that ending was.
Yeah.
It is like, I don't think an arc in One Piece, my favorite thing ever, beats the end of the Chimera Ant arc.
Yeah.
It's that good. Like, Hunter x Hunter is in a weird spot for that reason, where I think there are some parts of it I would consider to be boring, but when it hits, god damn it hits.
Yeah, I mean, I think in anything that's sufficiently long, yeah. I mean, how do we even say this? Not all authors are good at all things, and you can be really good at executing an ending and be less good at setting it up, or good enough at setting it up and not the best. So I get it. I'll read this someday. I'll probably read Yu Yu Hakusho first because I think that's shorter and more easy to digest, and see if I even like Togashi's kind of style. But
I think, honestly, watching the dub Yu Yu Hakusho is better than reading it, because
really?
Yusuke has a lot of personality that shines in the dub.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it fits his character so well. It's a good watch, by the way. Like, the animation holds up at points. Like, they use it for like a 90s anime. Like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it's Bones or Madhouse or somebody, or Gainax. I don't know. It's one of the big studios from back then.
I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah,
but
cool.
Either way, that's the list, fellas.
Cool, that's it. Hey, let me go through and I'll read yours for the listeners.
Yeah, do it to it.
One last time at the end, Gautam had Silver Spoon, Friaren at the Funeral, or what is it called in English? Friaren Beyond Journey's End, Yotsubato, Shokugeki no Soma, aka Food Wars, Haikyuu, Hajime no Ippo, Delicious in Dungeon, Hunter x Hunter No X, and One Piece.
Yep.
Cool. And
that's the list.
Yep, those are our 2 3x3. So hey, let us know if you feel like you haven't had anyone pay attention to you posting your 3x3 on Twitter or Reddit or something. Put a link to it in our comments. Leave us your comments. What do you think of ours? Do you think they're great? Do you like our organization? Do you have anything you think would be a better replacement? Maybe leave us a comment. Give us a like and subscribe. Head down there. Let's talk real quick about news. There's only really one big news piece this week that I could see. The Manga Taisho Awards, which we've covered, I think, the last 2 years. We got the nominees for the Manga Taisho Awards. I'm just going to go through them real quick. I think we've only read maybe 2 or 3 of these, but they're pretty well regarded, I would say. So we have, and this is Manga Taisho Awards are a very generic sort of like best manga singular choice type thing. Or maybe they like rank the top 3. I don't remember exactly, but we've got You and I Are Polar Opposites, Hirayasumi, Yomi no Sugai, Dear Shimazaki in the Peaceful Land, The Day of Diamond, Diamond no Kozai, Kanada Gokuracho, Shokunin Banashi, A Witch's Life in Mongol, Tenmaku no Jadogao, Let's Go to a Family Restaurant, Tamaki to Amane, Kimi to Uchu o Aru Tame ni. That is a very difficult list to swap back and forth between English and Japanese titles, but
I only recognize 2 of them.
Yeah, the things that stand out to me here, You and I Are Polar Opposites is a Jump Plus series. Yomi no Sugai is Arakawa, author of Full Metal Alchemist. I shill that thing left and right anytime I can. Yomi no Sugai is fucking awesome. If you like Full Metal Alchemist, go read that. I recognize Hirayasumi and A Witch's Life in Mongol I have heard of. I don't think I have heard of others. The Days of Diamond, that is probably a baseball manga. I think I've heard of that one.
That sounds like a baseball manga or like a JoJo spinoff.
Yeah, but these are always interesting because I have discovered good series in the past from starting to read just the nominees or the winners of the Manga Taisho Awards. I think I discovered The Summer Hikaru Died about 2 years ago from the Taisho Manga Awards. So definitely interested in going and seeing what exactly these are. It also gives...
I'm pretty sure we also discovered Darwin Experiment from that, right?
Which I've not kept up with. I think the translators dropped that. But yeah, right. which is I think the first episode we ever recorded that was unpublished, but of this podcast was what is that actually called? The Darwin Incident, right? Or is it?
It's like the Darwin Experiment or the Darwin Incident.
I think Darwin Incident. Yeah, about like the smart monkey guy who's like smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
He was like way better than it should have been with like vegan parents. Like a really weird premise.
The vegan terrorists.
Yeah, vegan terrorist parents. Yeah.
But by all means, that plot shouldn't work, but it did. It was
It was really well done. Yeah, I should go back. We should go back and check that out and see if it's still going. That's all we've got for news. One more thing. What else are we doing this week? I finished up Dimension 20 sophomore year in the sort of post, watching all the interviews and stuff of what it meant. And those are actually really fun, where the whole cast is like on a call on Skype and just goofing and answering questions on Twitch and stuff. So that's fun. I like sophomore year a lot. It was a lot better at handling, I think, individual character arcs and stuff. Even though it's a little slower to start, I really like the start of season 1 of Dimension 20, Fantasy High. Whereas sophomore year was maybe a little bit slower, but I've noticed Dimension 20 for me is a little bit slow to start, but yeah, it's easily, I think, the best live play you can imagine. I mean, 6 improv comedy people, 7 improv comedy people technically playing Dungeons and Dragons in like a professional environment with minis and boards and everything is absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's great.
If you like college humor, then I think you
drop out college humor.
Yeah,
Brendan Lee
you'd love
Mulligan.
D20.
Yeah,
they are all so goddamn talented.
They're so
I
good.
think it's worth a watch.
Yeah, they're all you'll go through an episode and you'll be like, that's my favorite character. No, that's other's my favorite character. No, actually. Yeah, Gautam, tell me what you've been doing this past week.
I've been playing a game called Guess That Game. It's like a game online, like a Wordle type or whatever, where you see like a picture, a screenshot of a game, and it's like a vague screenshot at first and gets progressively more specific. Like it shows you more pertinent things that are specific to the game, and you have to guess which game that is in 5 guesses.
Yeah. And
I'm so fucking sick at it.
It's fun. These are all fun. I've done the one too that's like, there's a bunch of different versions of this that I can't remember. There's sometimes all a play on like Wordle, like there's, I don't know. I've done the movie one, right? Which is like, oh, this movie is like came out this year, is this genre, and it slowly gives you more and more hints of like trying to guess what the movie is, who's in it and stuff. Yeah, the game one is really fun. Gotcha, and I were playing it right before we started recording this, so it was fun.
Yeah, we did pretty good. But yeah, I'm fucking sick at it, guys. So if you think you can come at me for my crown, then try it, motherfuckers. Post your stats.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Another reason to get in the comments. Show us how good you are at guess this game.
Guess the game. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, thank you again for listening or watching, everybody. Don't forget to leave us feedback, comments, upvote, thumbs up, any positive reinforcement you can leave us. Please go do that. We really appreciate comments, of course. Check out Twitter and Patreon, linked in the description. Yeah, and I think that's it.
See ya, everyone.
Thank you for being with us yet again this week, and don't forget to read more manga.